President Lee Jae-myung is set to chair an open debate at the UN Security Council on Thursday morning Korea time, becoming the first Korean leader to do so. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has revised up its economic growth outlook for South Korea to 0.9% this year, amid signs of a recovery in domestic spending spurred by the government's supplementary budgets. The childbirth rate here rose for the 13th consecutive month in July, following a steep climb in marriages. The number of newlyweds in July climbed for the 16th straight month. President Lee Jae-myung continues his UN trip in New York. He's set to become the first South Korean leader to chair a UN Security Council open debate in the coming hours, after delivering his first address to the Assembly on Tuesday. Our top office correspondent Yoon Jung-min is traveling with the president and follows this report from New York.
A new initiative to end confrontation on the Korean Peninsula was among the overarching themes during the first UN speech by South Korean President Lee Jae-myung.
교류, 관계 정상화, 비핵화, 즉 END를 중심으로 한 포괄적인 대화로 한반도에서의 적대와 대결의 시대를 종식하고 평화 공존과 공동 성장의 새 시대를 열어가야 합니다.
By that, he meant expanding inter-Korean exchanges, seeking efforts to advance inter-Korean relations as well as the relationship between North Korea and the U.S., while seeking realistic and rational solutions to achieve denuclearization. President Lee revisited his three-stage roadmap involving halting, reducing, and dismantling North Korea's nuclear and missile programs. He once again made it clear that Seoul is not pursuing any form of unification by absorption. And his debut on the world's major stage for multilateral diplomacy meant more than just that.
저는 오늘 세계 시민의 등불이 될 새로운 대한민국이 국제사회에 완전히 복귀했음을 당당하게 선언합니다.
He was referring to Korea's recovery from the martial law incident last December, adding that the resilience of Korea's democracy not just belongs to Korea but to the entire world, in tandem with the UN spirit. He also laid out his vision for the use of AI that can contribute to the universal values of humanity, which will also top the agenda for the UN Security Council open debate on Wednesday local time, led by a South Korean leader for the first time. During his roughly 20-minute speech on Tuesday, he mentioned Republic of Korea 33 times. And here at the UN General Assembly, the South Korean leader did not forget to mention K-culture, saying it connects people all over the world beyond borders, language, and cultural differences, stressing universal empathy and solidarity. Yoon Jung-min, Arirang News, New York.
And after addressing the United Nations General Assembly on Tuesday, President Lee Jae-myung also held bilateral meetings with world leaders at the UN headquarters. Our President Office correspondent Song Yu-jin tells us more.
South Korean President Lee Jae-myung is making the most of the UN General Assembly's high-level week, often described as the world's biggest stage for multilateral diplomacy. President Lee held a series of one-on-ones with world leaders on Tuesday at the UN headquarters. His first meeting was with UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres. National Security Advisor Lee Seong-nak told reporters that the UN chief voiced support for the president's North Korea policy, the END initiative, short for Exchange, Normalization, and Denuclearization, which he laid out in his address to the General Assembly.
Secretary General Guterres conveyed his hope that the initiative will contribute to peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula. We will work to build a framework where exchange, normalization of relations, and denuclearization can all reinforce one another through inter-Korean dialogue and North Korea-U.S. talks.
President Lee in turn stressed that security on the Korean Peninsula is inseparable from global stability, the very mission of the United Nations. Lee also met with Uzbekistan President Shavkat Mirziyoyev and Czech President Petr Pavel.
We held discussions on practical cooperation directly tied to our businesses and economic growth, focusing on achieving results that people in both countries can feel in daily life.
With Pavel, the $18 billion nuclear power plant deal signed in June was highlighted, and the two leaders agreed to expand their strategic partnership to semiconductors, electric vehicles, and defense. Talks with Mirziyoyev explored ways to elevate South Korea and Uzbekistan's special strategic partnership with a particular focus on mineral resources and transportation infrastructure. Now, more bilateral meetings are lined up for Wednesday, President Lee's last day at the UN General Assembly. The presidential office previously said that President Lee will also be sitting down with the leaders of France, Italy, and Poland. 송유진, Arirang News, New York.
Now, wrapping up his second day in New York, President Lee on Tuesday hosted a dinner with foreign policy experts. According to National Security Advisor Ri Sung-lak, the discussions touched on improving the U.S. visa system, an issue highlighted by the recent detention of Korean workers in Georgia, as well as the ongoing trade negotiations between Seoul and Washington, and ways to advance the alliance. Among those invited were the editor-in-chief of Foreign Affairs magazine and heads of policy institutes, including the Korea Society. South Korean Foreign Minister Cho has urged North Korea and Russia to immediately halt military cooperation that violates UN Security Council resolutions. His remarks came during back-to-back UNSC briefings on the Middle East and the war in Ukraine on Tuesday in New York on local time, which he presided over as a council president. Cho stressed that such a cooperation undermines the global non-proliferation regime and proposed serious risks to regional security, including the Korean Peninsula. Now, on the Middle East, he said that the two-state solution is the only viable path to resolving the conflict, and affirmed that Seoul will actively support the international community's efforts to build peace and stability in the region. South Korea and the U.S. reportedly agree that there has been significant progress in meeting necessary conditions in terms of the plan to transfer wartime operational control. Now, this from senior level regular defense talks, the Korea-U.S. Integrated Defense Dialogue that was held here in Seoul on Tuesday and Wednesday, according to the Defense Ministry. Present in the meeting were Acting Deputy Defense Minister for Policy Yoon Bong-hee from the South Korean side and John No, the Deputy U.S. Assistant Secretary of War for East Asia. Both sides also discussed ways to modernize the alliance and agreed to maintain the momentum of trilateral security cooperation among Seoul, Washington, and Tokyo to deter North Korea's nuclear and missile threats. On Wednesday, President Lee Jae-myung will become the first Korean leader to chair a UN Security Council debate, putting artificial intelligence at the center of global security discussions. To discuss the significance of this moment, we have our foreign affairs correspondent Oh Soo-young with us in the studio. Welcome, Soo-young.
Nice to be here, Dami.
So, Soo-young, we are just about a couple of hours away from President Lee Jae-myung chairing a UN Security Council debate for the very first time. Tell us more.
Sure, Tammy. So on Wednesday local time, President Lee Jae-myung will be chairing the session. He'll be presiding over a Security Council open debate on artificial intelligence and international peace and security. Now, I'd say that it's significant for two reasons. First, symbolically, this is going to be the first time that a Korean head of state presides over a council session, which really underscores Korea's elevated status in global governance. Now, that's according to former OECD policy analyst Jung Ji-eun, who now heads an AI-powered regulation tech firm in Seoul.
We have UNSC chairing opportunity right now. It's 80th anniversary for the UN General Assembly, and then we have obviously next month APEC happening in Korea as well. So a lot of spotlights can be given to the President Lee, and the fact that he has cleverly and timely chosen AI as a topic, I think, is a great opportunity because AI is obviously a great, technical advancement, but at the same time can be a threat in security and peace.
Now, the subject itself is important. AI has become one of the defining issues of our time. From autonomous weapons to cyber defense and disinformation, the way AI is deployed can directly affect peace and security. Now, Korea is going to present 4 guiding questions, basically on how AI can be harnessed to promote peace and security, as well as the role of the Security Council to support the technology's responsible application. Now, by bringing these issues to the Security Council, Korea is upgrading the discussion on global peace and security and really pushing for multilateral cooperation to build rules and norms for emerging technologies. Now, this comes crucially at a time when larger powers are divided in geopolitical tension and rivalry, according to international relations expert Park Won-gon.
In this kind of a context, our President Lee Jae-myung's leading role in the AI is very important because we could not see any kind of continue of the dialogue about how to restrain, limit the AI because AI is such a powerful mean and powerful mechanism to change the human histories.
Seoul's Foreign Ministry told Arirang News today that the session is expected to serve as an important occasion for a wide range of UN member states to discuss the changing international security environment in the era of AI.
You know, Soo-young, South Korea has been making various efforts to strengthen a global dialogue on AI governance, right?
Yes, Tammy, I'd certainly say so. I mean, the UN security session that's being chaired by President Lee Jae-myung, I'd say that really highlights the country's comprehensive efforts to set standards on the all-pervasive technology, very strenuous efforts by our foreign ministry, as rapid advances in AI present both opportunities and challenges for international peace and security. Seoul hosted the AI Safety Summit last year, bringing leaders together to establish that progress in AI should empower humanity. They adopted the Seoul Declaration, which sets out safety, innovation and inclusion as key pillars in AI development. On the security front, where Seoul's been leading, Korea co-hosted 2 summits with the Netherlands on responsible AI in the military domain to develop global frameworks for the ethical application of AI in defense. Also, very significantly, the 2 countries last year jointly tabled the first ever resolution on military AI, which was adopted with overwhelming support from 165 countries.
Well, of course, the president will continue his AI conversation when South Korea or Gyeongju City hosts APEC next month, right?
That's right. At APEC in Gyeongju, AI again will be the headline issue, but framed rather differently, Tammy. While the UN debate on Wednesday will focus on security risks and governance gaps, APEC will look at digital trade, innovation and standards for AI in the economy, bringing together not only heads of state, but also global business leaders at the CEO summit. According to the Foreign Ministry, Korea is now drafting the APEC AI initiative, which will outline a shared regional vision on innovation-driven growth, strengthening capacity for AI transformation and encouraging sustainable investment in AI infrastructure.
I think more discussion needs to be happening in order for us to move forward with the global standardization of AI. I think with this APEC, if President Lee and Korea can come up with something concrete, such as like last time, there were other countries coming up with APEC travel cards, or any of the specific tariff negotiation on environment, any of specific concrete thing can come out of that meeting, it will be a really important one.
Well, from New York, all eyes will be on the next upcoming major leaders conference taking place in South Korea's Gyeongju City next month. Soo-young, thank you so much for coming in tonight.
Thanks for having me.
The International Monetary Fund has slightly raised South Korea's economic growth outlook for 2025 to 0.9%. However, in its annual review, the IMF delivered a dual message. While short-term expansionary fiscal policy is appropriate, urgent long-term structural reforms are essential to address the severe challenges posed by a rapidly aging population. Our Kim Do-yeon has more.
Following a 2-week annual consultation with South Korean authorities, the IMF has adjusted its 2025 growth projection for the nation upward by 0.1 percentage point to 0.9%. It attributed the revision to the positive impact of a second supplementary budget, which included giving out spending coupons to all citizens. The forecast for 2026 remains unchanged at 1.8%.
Growth is expected to reach 0.9% in 2025 as domestic demand gradually recovers, supported by more accommodative fiscal and monetary policies, and strong semiconductor external demand offsets decline in other exports.
The IMF described the government's current accommodative fiscal stance as appropriate for now, given that growth is tracking below the country's potential. But the fund warns that this approach is not sustainable. It highlighted South Korea's demographic crisis, one of the world's fastest aging populations, as a critical long-term risk that will exert immense pressure on public finances.
But as you know, with rapid aging in Korea, the spending pressures in the medium to long term are going to rise, which could make debt levels go up substantially over the medium and the near term.
To create fiscal space for future spending, the IMF stressed that reforms to the pension system, mobilizing more revenue, and enhancing spending efficiency are essential. The fund also advised adopting a credible medium-term fiscal anchor to ensure long-term debt sustainability. However, the report cautions that the entire outlook is tilted to the downside.
Prolonged global trade policy uncertainty, intensification of geopolitical tensions, they could weigh on growth and disrupt trade and investments. Apart from that, faster than expected slowdown in major trading partners of Korea could adversely affect exports and hence growth.
The IMF added that revitalizing domestic demand and diversifying Korea's export structure will be essential for more resilient growth. Gradually deleveraging households, reducing labor market rigidities, and addressing demographic challenges could help boost domestic demand. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Former First Lady Kim Gun-hee, who has been indicted on charges of stock manipulation involving Deutsche Motors and receiving illicit funds from the Unification Church, denied all charges at the first hearing of her trial over corruption allegations. This marks the first time in South Korea's constitutional history for a former First Lady to stand trial as a defendant. The hearing, held at the Seoul Central District Court on Wednesday, lasted about 40 minutes after starting at around 2 p.m. With the court partially allowing media coverage, Kim was seen in a black suit with her inmate number displayed on her chest. The court will hold a hearing on Friday to set the schedule for witness questioning and other procedures, where the defendant's attendance is not required. In other news, South Korea, notorious for its very low birth rate and shrinking population, continues to enjoy an uptick in the number of newborns, including in the month of July. Our Park Kwon-woo has this report.
Newborn cries were the loudest this July, with births reaching their highest figure for the month in 4 years. According to Statistics Korea on Wednesday, more than 21,800 babies were born in July, up nearly 6% from the year before. From January through July, births rose more than 7% year-on-year, marking the steepest increase since data was first compiled in 1981. And it wasn't just newborns on the rise. The number of marriages in July topped 20,000, up 8.4% year-on-year, and the highest figure in nearly a decade. Officials point to factors including governmental support policies, but one expert says it's too early to draw a direct link at this point.
There's not enough evidence yet to say that policies are driving up marriages and births, and that can even narrow the focus to short-term measures.
Despite the uptick, deaths once again outnumbered births in July, leading to a natural population decline of about 6,000 people. And one expert expects that will continue despite the increasing trend in the number of newborns and newlyweds.
Births may rise for a while, but the natural decline in population will only grow with the elderly population increasing and more inevitable deaths. Population decrease will be unavoidable in Korea.
He added that a true breakthrough requires structural change, easing housing and job insecurity, as well as high private education costs, so that the younger generation can feel secure in raising children. 박건우, Arirang News.
Seoul is holding its premier environmental exhibition, showcasing a wide array of eco-friendly innovations, from sustainable lifestyle products to advanced resource circulation technologies powered by AI. Our Moon Ji-young was there.
This year's ESG eco-friendly exhibition serves as a hub for innovations that aim to transform our waste into a valuable resource. Among these groundbreaking innovations, advanced resource circulation technologies garnered significant attention, particularly in waste sorting. One prominent example is AI-driven waste sorting robots.
Atron is an AI-based waste sorting robot that replaces the manual sorting of recyclable materials. When waste arrives on a conveyor belt, cameras in the vision box identify the type of waste, and robotic arms then sort it accordingly.
Likewise, other resource circulation recovery robots that pick up recyclable waste based on AI and IoT technology were also showcased, drawing considerable attention. The three-day event, marking its 24th anniversary, opened in Seoul on Wednesday. Hosted by the Ministry of Environment and featuring 236 participating companies and organizations, it highlighted a range of eco-friendly innovations. For instance, the company Terracool demonstrates how it gives new life to waste plastics.
While plastics are formed by polymerization, we utilize depolymerization technology to break them down. We depolymerize polyester-based plastics and fibers, transforming them back into their raw materials, TPA and EG. Simply put, it's like turning discarded bread back into flour and water.
In addition, the EXPO showcases a diverse range of eco-friendly products and technologies related to our daily lives. Visitors can find everything from safety shoes made using recycled leather and discarded tires to innovative food tech solutions that leverage AI big data to not only cut down on food waste but also offer data-driven health management. Another impressive innovation includes a product that stores rainwater using a non-powered, electricity-free method, utilizing solar power for versatile applications such as cleaning, environmental use, and road maintenance. Such comprehensive efforts and ingenious solutions offer a glimpse into a greener future for the nation and beyond. Moon Ji-young, Arirang News.
Also here in Seoul, an art prize that has become a stage for Korea's most thought-provoking artists is back this year, with works that blur the lines between sound, superstitions, tradition, and technology. Our news features reporter, our Pyeong has more.
A faint siren echoes through a darkened room. It isn't an emergency, but an artwork. Elsewhere, an empty grave takes shape in a multimedia installation. Various forms of folding screens are reassembled into sculptural landscapes. Just a few steps away, stones splattered with ketchup that trick artificial intelligence into thinking they're hot dogs. This is the Korea Artist Prize 2025, now open at the Museum of Modern and Contemporary Art in Seoul. Since its launch in 2012, the annual prize has become one of the most influential platforms for contemporary art in Korea. These works may look very different, but they share the same question. How do we make the invisible visible? That's the heart of Korea Artist Prize 2025. This year's featured artists Kim Young-eun, Lee Myung-ju, Kim Ji-pyong, and the collective Unmake Lab unveil four vastly different worlds. While the exhibition wasn't conceived with a single theme in mind, curators later found a striking commonality. All four artists, in their own way, are engaged in probing hidden histories, beliefs, and perceptions that slip past everyday attention.
The artists here are all incredibly imaginative, and the messages in their works are very distinct. It's hard to put into words, but the way the artists capture subtle details through their own perspective and weaves them into the work felt truly special.
Kim Young-eun transforms sound into political memory. reconstructing the sirens of the post-war era into a meditation on how sounds shape history. Lee Myung-ju builds an empty grave inspired by the Korean kamyo custom, fusing superstition with virtual reality to ask how belief takes form in an age of science. Kim Ji-pyong interprets techniques found in 동양화 or traditional Eastern paintings and revitalizes East Asian traditions with aspects found in East Asian myths. An Unmake Lab turns humor into critique, flipping the logic of AI to show how fragile the line is between human perception and machine prediction.
Through these artists, if you take a closer look at the senses you might usually overlook, things that may be around you, but you've never really thought about, I think the exhibition will feel all the more engaging.
The exhibition runs through February, with one final winner to be named in January. But beyond the prize itself, it's an invitation for audiences to step into shifting landscapes, where history, myth, and technology overlap in unexpected ways. Hyun-yeong, Arirang News.
The rain has gradually expanded across the country, and there are some places where it's been pouring down hard like summer rain. Heavy rain is expected in the Chungcheongdo provinces and southern regions between tonight and tomorrow morning. Rain in the Seoul metropolitan area and Gangwon-do province will mostly stop tomorrow morning. The Chungcheongdo and Jeollado provinces will continue to have rain until tomorrow afternoon, and the Gyeongsang-do provinces and Jeju Island will have rain until night. There will be some times when there will be heavy and strong rainfall, around 20 to 30 millimeters per hour. Seoul will start off at 20 degrees tomorrow morning, Daegu and Gyeongju at 22 degrees. Highs will move up to 27 degrees in Seoul, Chuncheon, and Gwangju, 26 degrees in Daejeon. Frequent rain is expected throughout the rest of this week. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
That is all we have for tonight. I'm Kim Dami. From all of us here at Arirang, thanks for watching and good night.